Hey everyone, welcome to The Buzz. The Buzz is a kickoff of another show I do, and primarily what the show is going to be about is bringing on people with substance, people in different fields and people, different occupations. So today my guest is, as you can see on the camera, the former mayor, current attorney, and entrepreneur, marijuana expert, and there's probably another list I can't mention.
The list goes on and on.
The list goes on and on. Mr. Flanagan, thank you for coming to the show, and we're going to talk marijuana of all kinds, right?
Sure.
Right. So, what's going on with recreational marijuana in terms of the legalities, production, businesses opening?
Well, the recreational market is starting to come off now here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And we'll get there, I think, in a second. But I think it might be even beneficial to go back a few years.
Okay.
To give everybody an overview of how we got to where we are
Cool.
today, right? So,
sounds good.
You know, go back to 2013, 2014. There were votes taken in Massachusetts by you and I and the people of Massachusetts
Right.
To legalize marijuana, cannabis, pot, no matter what you want to call it. And, you know, the Cannabis Control Commission and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts have been working together to roll out this program that we're now seeing budding in Massachusetts. So it started off really with the caregivers. People were allowed to go to a Canacare docs or a licensed professional, and they were able to get their cannabis card. That allowed them to grow cannabis at home and not have to be in fear of the law enforcement kicking in your door.
Right.
So you were able to grow pot at home, and people were coming out of the shadows for the very first time and being proud of what they were doing. And the whole caregiver program, people, you could grow for yourself, you could grow for somebody else if they also had a card, worked very well in Massachusetts. From the caregiver program, we saw it expand to medicinal cannabis. And there, you know, I think the first shop we were all familiar with here in this area was In Good Health in Brockton, Massachusetts.
Right.
David Noble, very nice man. Yes. Brockton was one of the first locations to open up.
Yes, in our area, yes.
So that allowed you to go with your medical card, and you walked into a pot dispensary. And for many people, it was the first time that they were able to go into like a convenience store setting and purchase marijuana. And what I saw at that point, it's probably 2014, 2015, was there was still this reefer madness in cities and towns where, you know, companies would contact me, reputable companies, people established in Colorado and California, and they would say, you know, Attorney Flanagan, we're looking to come to Massachusetts. Can you help us? And I would go to cities and towns all throughout the Commonwealth. I don't care if we were in Western Mass, Northern Mass, Southeastern Mass, Cape and the Islands. And some cities and towns were welcoming to us. But others were, we don't want it. It's going to be bad for the kids. It's going to be crime. People are going to be driving high around the community. The reasons went on and on and on.
This thing, just before we get too far off that, you were contacted a lot, you said around 2015, right? 2015. Okay. I've often been asked this question because people know I know you. How did you get in that business so people could contact you? Was it that you began studying on your own, and how did these people know to contact you?
Great question. So the cannabis community is a very small community, just like anything else, and reputation is important.
Right.
The first organization that I worked with was Canacare Docs. They were a hospital. The CEO of Canacare Docs had contacted me as a former mayor, as an attorney, as a former prosecutor, and I started working with them. Unbeknownst to me at the time, one of my good friends from law school was one of the leaders, the pioneers in Colorado. So a little bit of serendipity got us working together. Because it's a close-knit community, I don't care if you're in California or Toronto or Fall River, everybody knows each other. It's like the music industry. It's like the movie industry. Once you get out there and you start networking, you meet people. And through social media, everybody's connected, right?
So they're going to go to
Twitter,
the people that they trust and they know.
So they go to the people that they trust and the people that they know. So now it's medicinal, right? And some of the cities and towns were welcoming, some weren't, because it was still like, you would walk into a pot shop and look around, make sure your neighbors weren't looking at you, or you didn't run into somebody you know. But if you think about it for a moment, I don't care who you are. If you're a doctor, an attorney, a priest, a judge, a police officer, a firefighter, you may use pot. And you may use it for medicinal reasons, or you might just use it for recreational purposes to make you, feel a little better mood on a Friday
a little
or
buzz
Saturday
after
night.
a bad day.
Of course, and this show is named The Buzz.
The Buzz,
so
that's
it's
right.
great that we're talking about it. But nevertheless, so Fall River was on the forefront of cannabis, and the mayor was very welcoming to the cannabis industry in Fall River. So, and other cities and towns weren't. I'll give you an example, Raynham. I remember speaking to the selectman in Raynham, who I knew, as a former mayor, as a former solicitor. And right off the bat, he said, no, I don't want it. It's not coming into this city. It's bad. So it never happened, right? But other cities and towns say, hey, look, it's not a bad thing. Or they see the revenue it can generate because it does create jobs. It does create revenue. So now getting to where you were, recreationals popping up all throughout Massachusetts. Uxbridge, Fall River, Worcester, Boston, Wareham, Brockton, out in Lancaster. All throughout Massachusetts, recreational cannabis stores are open. So now, unlike the time when it was just medicinal, where you needed a card, now if you're 21 and over, you can walk in. You can buy flower to smoke. You can buy edibles to eat. You can buy lotions and topicals and droplets. You can put cannabis in almost anything and get an effect from it.
Wow. So we in this area, right, are primarily in a spot now where we're going to transition a little bit, where we have at least 11 letters of non-opposition that were signed by a mayor, which is step one.
Right.
Correct? No opposition. Now the companies or people can begin to build or get their financing or whatever else they want, right? But we have a city council locally that is very concerned that 11 is too many and that we may need to put a cap. How do you feel, Mayor, about cap? Being a mayor at one time of this city, and someone in the industry, how do you feel about caps?
I don't support caps. And the way I would support them, if there was a formula-based cap, meaning, okay, what Worcester's doing is this. Worcester's saying, we're going to do 10% of the liquor licenses. I get that. All right, so if there is 20 liquor licenses, you're going to do 2 dispensaries. Okay, it gives the businessman something to point to say, all right, this is what we're looking at. But I know one of the city councilors, he said, we're going to do 5, 10, 15, and he had no idea what he was talking about. God bless his heart. He seemed like a nice guy, but he really didn't know what he was talking about. So I say let the free market determine how many dispensaries are going to come to Massachusetts. And just because the mayor signed 11 letters, just because he signed 20 letters, does not mean that's how many dispensaries are going to locate here. Here's why.
Right.
Just because you have local approval, it doesn't mean you have state approval. Because the state, the Cannabis Control Commission, the CCC, has to come down and, first of all, sign off on your site. You have to be 500 feet away from a school. You have to have the financing to open up and run one of these things. So just because the mayor gives you a sign-off, it doesn't mean it's ever going to come to fruition.
Right.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
We'd have 11 up.
Sure.
Right? So the process is extremely lengthy
and difficult.
And expensive. Right? So hypothetically, Mayor, would I be correct to say that 11 letters of opposition may translate into maybe 5 approval because you need the Cannabis Commission?
You would be guessing. It would be pure speculation.
No way of knowing.
You could get 11. And here's what makes a project successful.
Yep.
One, you need a good team of people. So, this isn't like operating a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
You need to know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, you need a good location. And number 3, you need the financing. And when groups contact me, one of the first questions I ask them is, how secure is your financing? Because if you don't have 10, $15 million liquid, this may not be the business for you to get into right now, because there is a barrier to entry that is monetarily based.
Right. Well, I remember when you represented the company that is now opened down on Weaver Street. And Dr. Crowley, who was a friend of ours, he has the one up, or he sold it, but he was the original guy to open the one at Airport. And the one on Pleasant Street, the Flint, which was the gentleman from the Cape, he had just recently, like 2 weeks ago, had his second or third public meeting with people.
Right.
So it looks like he is going to open a dispensary on Pleasant Street. I also understand that there is another one looking to open on Pleasant Street. So I think what I'm starting to see is that they're picking pockets. We have one on Globe Street. We have one a mile and a half away up on the avenue. And you may have 2 on Pleasant Street, one down north. So hypothetically, if a question was asked to me about the income that came into the city, was released last week or the week before, the amount, they made like $1 million or something, right? And the city got 85,000. And the person said to me, yeah, well, what are you going to do if there's 8 of them and there's $1 million? Again, that would be guessing, right?
Speculation.
Because like anything else, these are $1 million body shops, but you go to the one that has the best service, the best outcome, and the best price.
You do.
So is that the same thing for marijuana, or do they have a level playing field?
No. I think there's a number of things to look at if you're looking to be a customer of cannabis, or if you're looking to be a business owner in cannabis. So yes, you want to look at your location and where you're going to locate. I give this example many times. I can open up a steakhouse and I can cook the best steak, USDA, grade A, filet, Kobe beef mignon, okay? You name it, and it's the best steak you ever tasted. My mouth is watering just thinking about it, right? So if I open that steakhouse in a vegetarian neighborhood, bad move, right?
Gone.
Big mistake. My doors may be closed by the end of the month unless I'm pulling people in to come meet at my steakhouse. Now, when you look at cannabis, there's only X amount of people who are going to buy cannabis. Not everybody is going to buy cannabis, right? Not everybody goes to a liquor store to buy alcohol. Not everybody goes to a convenience store to buy a scratch off. So you have X amount of people. And through a market study, you can probably determine, a guesstimate on how many people are using cannabis in your particular area. Number one, by looking at the amount of medical cards in that area, but also looking at some of the sales based upon the dispensaries that are already open.
Right.
So you can make a very good hypothesis on how many customers you potentially are going to have, right? So you do a market study. You do a market study on what your client base is going to be. And then you see, okay, now if there's 15,000 potential clients and there's already 3 dispensaries opening in that area, does it make sense to open a 4th?
Right.
Or do I want to go to another location where the entry into the market is like Fall River, not that difficult? And do I want to go to a higher potential customer pool? Now, you bring up a good question. Quality matters in the cannabis field.
Yes.
Quality matters. People who use cannabis, for the most part, know good quality. And it's no different than a wine drinker or a beer drinker. Yeah, there's some guys who go out and they're happy with a 30 rack of natural ice. But most people, they may want a nice IPA or a craft beer. The wine market, forget about it. People like good bottles of wine. People like good cigars, right?
Yeah.
So somebody may go to the convenience store and buy a pack of backwards and be happy with that. Or somebody may go to the firehouse and try to get a Dominican or a Cuban and enjoy the weekend. So quality matters, and the different strains matter too. So yes, people will drive 30, 45 minutes for good marijuana if it's there. So you need to have good quality product too.
Yeah. Right along with the marijuana is the hemp
And CBD.
and the CBD, which is where I was going. So I just purchased some CBD, right, from a local place, but it comes out of Colorado.
Okay.
And the place in Colorado, that's all they make is oil. Okay. But yeah, you can find it in some variety stores.
Yeah.
What is the difference, you think, without having them in front of you, between the one I got from a dispensary type or the one in the drugstore that gas stations have?
So let me give a quick overview on CBD and what we traditionally think of as pot, right? So THC is what gets us high, right? THC gives us that
Buzz,
the buzz, the elusive effect,
the hungry effect.
Well,
Yeah.
THC has that mind-altering effect, okay? So THC is a classified drug under Chapter 94C here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So anything that has THC in it, for me to legally sell it, I need a license, okay? Or, there's you can gift under an ounce, but THC you're not going to buy from a convenience store. You're not going to buy from a 7-Eleven, okay? You're not going to buy it from a CVS, all right? CBD does not have that psychoactive effect. It doesn't get you high. It doesn't give you the buzz, okay? However, you do not need a license to sell CBD.
Right.
CBD comes from the cannabis plant, just like THC comes from the cannabis plant. Now, what has CBD known to do? Helps children with seizures, helps athletes recover faster, it helps possibly reduce your stress. You can talk to 100 people and each one will tell you something else on how CBD is effective in their life. Now, could it be a placebo effect? I don't think so. I think there's enough studies done to say, okay, CBD has some health benefits and effects on people. To answer your question, it really has to come down to three things. Where was that plant grown? Was it grown in a field? Was it grown in a factory? Who grew it?
Yeah.
What is the strength of that plant, and has it been tested?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So if you're buying CBD gummies at the Quickie Mart,
Yeah.
who knows what you're eating?
Right.
Because the
Right.
FDA hasn't approved it. No government's done testing
Right.
on it.
Right.
It could be made in somebody's bathtub. Right. Now, if I go to a dispensary and buy a CBD product, it's going to tell you where it was grown, who grew it, the strength of it, maybe even how much you should take, and has it been tested? Because when you're growing a plant, you want to know what's in that plant. Are there pesticides? Are there insects? Are there ions?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, thing to remember, buying things at a convenience store could be possibly bad. Buying something that's tested might be the way to go.
So, which is why I went with the one that was made in Colorado, which is well
Been
known
tested,
for this stuff.
right?
Been tested, and that's all the company makes, right?
Sure.
So, but
And did you have any effects from it that make you feel good, feel better?
I haven't felt
muscle spasms, anything?
I haven't felt any different.
All right.
I don't know if my dosage is right. It said on there that you could probably start. It's a 500 milligram one.
Okay.
So it says you take one eyedropper full. Mm-hmm. So maybe I need to go up. I don't know.
Or build a tolerance to it in your system.
Yeah. But it hasn't done anything negative either. So that's good.
Did you find yourself eating an extra pizza or something
No,
like that?
no. But you know what? Why I bring this up is they also just regulated the age limit for it in Fall River. Mm-hmm. And they saying that you're going to be 21 to buy CBD. I think that is like ludicrous.
And let's ask ourselves why, right? And for me, it goes back to that we for madness, that whole craze of, oh, this is bad, we got to regulate it. How about the children? We got to save the
Always the
children,
children,
Gene, right?
yeah.
So, and the people on the Board of Health are good people, and I'm sure they had the best intentions, but the pathway to hell is sometimes paved in good intentions.
That's right.
So now they're saying you got to be 21 to buy CBD. Why? What study did they rely upon? What statistic did they rely upon? Again, like that councilman who said, okay, we can only have 10 dispensaries. Did they just pick that out of the air?
Yeah, what grounds?
And then the other thing that has me baffled is the Board of Health wants to prohibit non-licensed dispensaries from selling marijuana paraphernalia.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
And what is what is it? Is it a pipe?
It's vague. It's ambiguous. Is a lighter?
Yeah. Right.
Are rolling papers?
Right.
Is a blunt?
Right.
So, sometimes government does things to help people, but sometimes they make the problem worse. Not intentionally, but it's unfortunate.
Erring on the side of caution, it's a knee-jerk reaction was the term I used when I wrote about it. A knee-jerk reaction to a problem that someone did a very brief search and seen something, an indication to the dispensary limitation. The individual's family reported to me that they're going under the guidelines that they're drunken driving, right? So it would be pot driven. So you're going to get more vehicle accidents smoking pot. But people have been smoking pot forever.
Right.
What's the difference now?
Well,
I don't get that.
There's some differences because, and let me break them down for you. The joint you might have smoked in 1975 is different than the joint you're going to smoke in 2019. Mm-hmm. The potency is stronger. Mm-hmm. So, a joint 30 years ago may have had 5% THC. I know growers who can now grow 30% THC. Right. They win cups and medals for what they're doing. Yeah. They also have what's called dabbing. Okay? So you take a highly potent rock of cannabis and then you light it up and inhale it. Yeah. That could be 100, 200% THC. Yeah. Now you take a gummy bear, that could be 100 THC, 500 THC. And for some people, they may be trying pot for the first time. Yeah. Or they say, well, I smoked a joint in high school 30 years ago and I got kind of goofy. And, I asked a girl to dance. Not a bad thing. Probably sounds like a good night out. But now, if you take something that has 250 milligrams of THC and it's an edible, and you eat it, and you're like, oh, I feel fine. 90 minutes later, it's like a freight train hit you, okay? Yeah. And it's like a roller coaster. Once the train takes off, you're locked in. Yeah. There's no way getting that back out of your system. Right. And if you're driving a motor vehicle, holy heck. Right. It could be a really, really bad trip for you, and you can hurt yourself and other people. So my suggestion with cannabis is to go low and slow. Right. Go low and slow. If you're trying cannabis for the first time, start with a low dose and slowly build your way up to see where you are, what your tolerance point is. Because I'm 225 pounds. My tolerance point may be different than your tolerance point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So start low, go slow. And, I am concerned about driving high, driving while intoxicated, because you got to be responsible with what you're doing.
I get that, and I agree with you. However, I also know that there are individuals that are growing at home right now.
Sure. And they legally can.
And they are putting out qualities as good as, and in some cases better than some coming out, right? Mm-hmm. So it's available.
Can we know where to go to meet these people?
Yes, we do. Okay. Yes, we do. I know where to meet all the bad people. No, it's a good thing. But the point I'm trying to get, man, is I don't like over-regulation.
I get it.
And regulating something that you could do more harm than good. If a person's going to smoke a joint and get behind the wheel, they've probably smoked joints before and got behind the wheel. Or they drink and got behind the wheel.
You understand that, right?
So don't use that as, show me some hard data. I want to see hard data that says that Colorado legalized marijuana and automobile debts went up 20%. Mm-hmm. We don't even have a test for drunk driving, for marijuana driving.
I think we do.
We have one now?
I think we do. So, you say a test. Now, we're familiar with the breathalyzer test, right?
Yep.
You know, cop thinks you had one too many alcoholic beverages. They ask you to blow into a machine.
Yeah, I've told the line.
The algorithm, the serums, you get a 0.08 or higher.
Yep.
And then you're deemed intoxicated.
Yes.
Is there a exam like that here in the United States? They're developing them, and some states have them. But let me go a step further with you, okay? Let me go a step further. Let's say my car is all over the road. I'm driving all over the road. Or I'm stopped at a red light for 20 minutes and I don't move, right? And the cop pulls me over. And the cop roll down the window, and the officer smells the burnt odor of cannabis in the car. Your eyes are red, glossy, bloodshot. You have a little slurred speech, okay? The officer asks you to step from the motor vehicle, and you're giggly, and you're laughing, and you can't do the alphabet, or you can't touch your finger to the tip of your nose. The officer has a reason to believe you might be high, okay? Mm-hmm. And then he's going to ask you a couple of questions. Hey, did you try any marijuana tonight? I smell a little odor coming from your car. How long ago did you smoke? So by gathering the totality of the circumstances, I think the officer could determine whether or not there's probable cause, not beyond a reasonable doubt, but probable cause to make an arrest. And if they want to go to court and get a warrant to take your blood, you're going to see whether or not you got THC in your blood. And then it's up for a jury to determine beyond a reasonable doubt whether or not the government can prove its case against you. So, is there a test per se? Yeah, there is electronic testing out there. But I think when you look at the totality of the circumstances, a trier of fact, a judge or a jury can make a decision on whether or not you were driving while high. Make sense?
Makes sense. I mean, you know, the rebellion part of me says that I'm challenging it and I'm taking it all away.
And if I was your attorney, I would too.
Yeah, because there's a tremendous amount of gray area there. It's a person's assumption that they believe that you were driving erratically, and you know, there's a whole bunch of assumptions there. I'm looking for concrete evidence. You blow into a tube, it gives you evidence.
Yeah, but even with the breathalyzer, Gene, that's under attack now, right?
It is now, yes.
You cannot even enter a breathalyzer result in a trial.
Oh, no.
Because, first of all, when was the last time that machine was calibrated?
Calibration, yeah.
Who put in the computer code to give you the 0.08 or the 0.10?
Chain of custody.
What's the chain of custody on the records? Did the officer observe you? Was the test done properly? There's so many different variables. And you're going to have a jury decide somebody's guilt or innocence on a variable test? It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So I'd rather put facts in front of a jury. The car was driving erratically. It was stopped at a red light for 20 minutes. The person
I could smell it.
I asked for their driver's license and they handed me their library card. Things like that. You know, I think somebody can say, well, there's something not right.
Something's not right there. Yeah, I get you. I can't get away from the fact that I've seen, it's happened to me in my own life where things happen just because of policy or because of regulation.
Right.
And that are knee-jerk, and as a result, the general public suffer. You know, so I think there has to be a better way. I don't agree with regulating how many we have.
Right.
I don't agree with 21 for CBD. And I think both of them are going to cost the community in dollars and cents.
So I know we're trying to keep the show at a certain time length today. Maybe wrap it up and let me give you this idea. So there's no industry that I see right now that is moving at the speed of light, such as the cannabis industry.
That's right,
It's creating jobs, it's giving back revenue to communities, and I don't care if you have a GED or a PhD, there's employment opportunity for you in the cannabis field. Massachusetts has legalized cannabis. There's dispensaries opening up all throughout Massachusetts. And we're seeing what happened in Colorado now happen here in Mass. And it may not be happening as quick as some people want it to happen. However, I feel Massachusetts is doing the best they can in getting this vote that the people voted for up and off the ground and get it running. So hopefully someday, and that
Yeah.
day I think is very soon in the near future, you can not have to go too far. Walk into a dispensary, buy what you want, use what you want, and possibly we're going to get to a point where you have home delivery,
Yeah.
or maybe even your Blue Cross or your Mass Health pays for your medicine for the people who are sick and need it.
Right, I agree. And I hope to be around when that happens, because I think that for the medical marijuana patients, that's going to be incredibly important that the insurance identify it and cover it, right? So, listen, it was great to talk
Great to
about
be here
that.
with you.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's our first
I want
show.
to thank Eric B. Media, The Buzz, everybody here for inviting me.
Yeah,
and
we did it. We
beautiful
did,
studio you have
nice.
here. And, I hope to be back again.
Great, absolutely, you will be. And folks, for yous out there, thank you for the tuning into the first show of The Buzz. Thank my guest, Mayor and Attorney Will Flanagan.
Thank you, Gene.
My technician, the owner of Eric B. Media, and the label also runs under Studio 1A. So come back again. The Buzz will be back, and we will have a new guest for you. Thank you. God bless.